We are the New York Knicks. We are the New York Knicks.
Say go New York, go New York, go.
Go New York, go New York, go.
Say go New York, go New York, go.
Go New York, go New York, go.
Well, just like that, look who's back in the mix. Straight out of New York City, it's the red hot Knicks. And nothing's gonna stop us from hanging a banner. Not the Hawks, Heat, or even Indiana. It's the Knicks, back on pace, back in the chase. That's right, the 8th seed in the thick of the race. And while you try and react to the shots we be blocking, check out the team that keeps the Garden rocking. Spree, hitting threes, playing D. Houston launching jumps from the top of the key. And Ward, you and Child and Larry. Thomas, Big Chris, and Marcus can be. Nobody does it like the Knicks can. Go get your best 5 guys. In fact, grab a 6-man. The Freewell and the Knicks excel. Look out, the number 18 starting to gel. Go New York, go New York, go.
Go New York, go New York, go.
Say go New York, go New York, go.
Go New York, go New York, go.
You want depth, hold up with 2 deep. And Indiana, they're gonna end up with the Hawks and the Heat, while the Knicks sweep them with the broom. See, our season don't end till the middle of June. Don't ever count out the Knicks team, cause in a blink, the squad's down 16. So if you think you can beat us, you're just a dreamer. The Knicks, we don't lose in a home arena. Say go New York, go New York, go.
Go New York, go New York, go.
Say go New York, go New York, go.
Go New York, go New York, go.
How about that? How about that? That might be a thing going forward.
We are the New York.
I mean, for that to play twice. What's going on, everyone? Yeah, I like that. I like starting with the music, letting some people trickle in, and not just getting right into it. And how fitting that is the song for today. I'm Bryce Gelman today. Going to be reacting to what we witnessed last night, and let me just preface this by saying that barely got any sleep last night. You'd think that after such a great win that I'd sleep like a baby, but after witnessing that and getting as hyped up for that as I did, and I can only imagine how everyone else felt about that, it's hard to come down from that high. So I'm a shell of myself. It might be hard for me to formulate sentences and words, but I'm here and I'm talking about this game because you got to, and I'm trying to bask in this excitement and this glory of Jalen Brunson before I shift my sights to something that I feel is listen, I don't think they're going to beat Boston. I think they have no chance against Boston. For right now, we can enjoy this. We can enjoy the heroics of Jalen Brunson like we have witnessed so many damn times. And it's just like, I say this all the time, and it happens every year, it feels like, but what the hell did we do to deserve Jalen Brunson? And one of my friends, I texted that to, and he said suffer. That's a good point. Knicks fans suffer for 20 years. This is what we get, and I think you could say it was worth it to get this level of star, this level of clutch player. You don't see this too often throughout the NBA. I'm a Yankees fan. My team has the greatest hitter in the modern baseball era, and he sucks in the postseason. He's terrible in the clutch. Jalen is good whenever he is needed. He's good throughout any normal regular season game. But when push comes to shove and a basket needs to be had, Jalen Brunson's going to get it. It's death taxes Brunson performing in the clutch. I don't think I've ever seen a player perform this well in big moments. I mean, I didn't grow up with Michael Jordan. I obviously, he had retired, or, I was 2 years old when he retired in 2003. So I never got to witness that. But this is a Knick. This isn't the greatest player in NBA history. This is not a player for another team. This is a New York Knick who might be consensusly known as the most clutch player in the NBA. I've seen mainstream accounts on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, saying that the one guy in the NBA who you want to have the ball in his hands at the end of the game for your team might be Jalen Brunson. I think it's completely warranted. It's completely fair. Jalen Brunson is the clutchest player in the NBA. He might be the clutchest player in Knicks history. And absolutely can be the main star in a championship team. With the right coach, with the right team surrounding him, the Knicks could absolutely win a championship. And I got clowned a lot on Twitter yesterday for, I guess it was a little hate tweet, from here and there. I think that's warranted. I stand by the fact that I hate this Knicks team. That is one of the most frustrating teams I've ever had to watch in my entire life, in my entire sports fandom. It's different when you have low expectations, and I could specifically point to the Knicks in the mid 2010s, early or late 2010s. I could point to the Giants and the current era that they're in. I'd honestly rather have that. Low expectations, no results. Because it's something you can live with. Your hopes are already down. With this Knicks team, I believe they have the third best odds going into the season to win the championship. Third best. And now I guess there are a few more teams remaining. There's 2 series still going on. But with, I guess it's going to be 8 teams remaining, the Knicks might have the 6th or 7th best odds to win the championship. And that is a crazy fall from grace. Being the number 3 seed in the Eastern Conference and having little to no chance to beat the number 2 seed or the number 1 seed. The Celtics are currently minus 800 to win the series. So we're going to get to that at some point, not today. Today we're going to be focusing on the positive, and the positive being the Knicks closed out that game last night. Down 7 points with around 2 minutes to go. I thought the game was over. I was trying to bring my hopes down. I was trying to become detached from what I was witnessing in front of my eyes. The Knicks up as many as 14, I think, in that game, 11 in the fourth quarter. Blow 11-point lead in it felt like, I don't think they scored. They scored 2 points, I think, in 6 minutes. They went cold at the worst possible time. For whatever reason, Karl Anthony Towns was not involved offensively to start the game early on in the game. And it's very essential the Knicks do that going forward if they want any chance to beat Boston. Because when Karl Anthony Towns is not involved at an early point in the game, he becomes passive. And when Karl Anthony Towns is passive on the offensive end, it's very hard for him to get involved. When you just give him a pass, he's going to take it. He's going to force the issue. He's going to force a 30-footer. He's not going to try to get open. He's going to stand in the corner, stand in the paint. He's not going to get involved whatsoever on the offensive end if he's not ingratiated into the offense early on. So I thought that the Knicks' chances last night were slim to none when they went down 7 points. I tweeted going into the fourth, even with the Knicks possessing such a large lead, that Karl Anthony Towns would need to get involved in one way or another if the Knicks wanted a chance to win that game. The Knicks scored 2 points in 6 minutes. They shouldn't have won that game. They won the game squarely off of Jalen Brunson's heroics at the end of the game. That was it. Do I think that he could do that against Boston? Absolutely not. Do I think it's sustainable? You know how I feel about that. Do I think it's sustainable? Absolutely not. Jalen Brunson iso ball is one of the most frustrating things in the world when it's not going well. When he's not able to score at will. When he's not facilitating off the double teams. When he's forcing shots and not hitting them. In the middle of a game, early on in the fourth quarter, it's not smart to do. It's not the right thing to do. And it makes you think, and I think that Tom Thibodeau's job is still on the line here. But it makes you think that who could this Knicks team be with an offensive-minded head coach? A guy who could draw up plays for the rest of the offense, not just Jalen Brunson go out there and do iso ball. It seemed like out of timeouts, that was, for whatever reason, the plan. Try to get Jalen Brunson the ball so he can take it up the court. And if not, give it to someone else and let Jalen Brunson run off a million screens, waste 9 or 10 seconds into the shot clock, and then get him the ball and let him work. You know how infuriating that is to watch? First off, Jalen Brunson should rarely be taking the ball up. If you want him to have a second win at the end of the game, I feel like, considering the fact that he played so many minutes during the regular season, and the knock on Thibs is the fact that his players play a lot, but they're ready. And they're conditioned to play big minutes in the playoffs. And there are a wide variety of guys around the league who aren't prepared in big moments. Because when push comes to shove in playoff time, guys are going to have to play 40 or more minutes. Cade Cunningham was playing 40 or more most of the games in the series. And he did not come up big in the clutch game after game after game. He was non-existent in the fourth quarter of last night's game. Non-existent. He's a young guy. I get it. He's got a lot of room to grow. Jalen Brunson was the best player on the floor throughout that series. He was the much better player in crunch time of each one of those games. And if you look at this, if you look at the play-by-plays for each of these games, if you look at the box scores, the Knicks only win the series because Jalen Brunson. That's it. There's no other factor close to Jalen Brunson's clutch playmaking, clutch shot making down the stretch of games. You think that Detroit and their crowd would have learned their lesson after Game 3, in which the game was close until Jalen Brunson decided to take over in the fourth quarter? You think they'd have learned their lesson after Game 4, in which, yes, Karl-Anthony Towns hit the clutch shots, but Jalen Brunson drawing a double team late on in the fourth quarter gave Karl-Anthony Towns a wide open three-pointer, and much more other plays like that. Jalen Brunson's the reason why the Knicks are advancing to the second round. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the Pistons don't deserve credit, and that is something that I wanted to address. The Pistons are a good young and upcoming team. They really gave the Knicks a battle. And I say it so many times, like 14 wins last year, improving by 30 games to win 44 this year is no small feat. The Pistons almost got their first home playoff victory in 15 years. They did it. Either way, the Pistons and their fans have a lot to be proud of. This is a team that was, I believe, plus 300, plus 400 when the series. The Knicks were minus 450, I think, maybe minus 400. And they took it to 6 games. And each and every one of those games was close. Either there's an argument to be made that the series should have gone 7 or the Pistons should have won it. The Knicks just have Jalen Brunson. They've got a guy who can perform in the clutch. The Pistons don't have that guy yet. And I'd like to see them put together a package for Devin Booker. I don't know if Booker's ever going to leave Phoenix. But if the Pistons acquire another really good star, I don't think it's crazy to say the Pistons could be a top 5 team perennially in the Eastern Conference for years to come. I really don't think that's crazy. They need to keep cycling out veterans. These guys are going to get older and older. Tim Hardaway Jr., I don't know how many years he has left in the tank. I don't know how many more years, productive years, that Tobias Harris has left in the tank. But either way, you got to give credit to that Pistons team for fighting game in and game out. Jalen Brunson tipped the hat to Sor Thompson, who kind of had a coming out party in the series. It's crazy to me that it's consensusly known in the NBA that a pair of identical twins are by far the 2 most athletic guys in the league. You saw that and then some in this series with the Sor Thompson. His length, his quick feet, his ability to get over screens might be unmatched in this league. He might be a top 5 perimeter defender. He might have proven himself to be that in this league after the series. If only he could develop a semblance of an offensive game, and if only he could get better at shooting free throws, Sor Thompson could be a top talent in the league in years to come. Do I have trust in him? Do I have trust in him or his brother to develop an offensive game? No. And Amen Thompson is a little bit better because of his playmaking, but whatever. I digress. You got to tip the hat. Jalen Brunson did. But I have just zero sympathy for Malik Beasley and some of those other guys in that series who talked a massive amount of shit. How poetic was it that after everything Malik Beasley said to the media after each and every single one of those games, he had a wide open look to tie the game, to keep the Pistons series alive, to probably win the game for the Pistons. With Karl-Anthony Towns fouled out, Josh Hart with 5 fouls, he probably would have fouled that as well. They force overtime, they probably win that game and force a game 7. But instead, he's looking to shoot. He loses the ball out of bounds. How poetic is that? Maybe shut your mouth. Maybe stop sounding so confident. You ain't Joe Namath. With all these guarantees, yeah, we'll go back to the Garden 100%. But listen, that series should not have been as close. I think the closest to that series is a mix of the Pistons having fight, having heart, and the Knicks not playing up to their standards. And the Knicks not having a good enough coach to where that this is an easier series. You hear it all the time. And you know, some of my followers, some of the people who watch these lives have fairly put it out there, and credit to them. It's not like I haven't made the same observation and conclusions as them. But Tom Thibodeau is a floor raiser. He's not a ceiling raiser. He's not. He's not. You know, I'd rather have a multitude of other coaches coaching this team. And I'm not going to sit here and root for the Knicks to have an uncompetitive series because I'll be going to game 3. I'm spending an exorbitant money to go to game 3. You know, I saved a few bucks by missing out on some tickets for the Yankees playoffs. I would have spent that money anyway. And I haven't been to a Knicks playoff game in 13 years since the Miami series in 2011 or 2012. So I'm excited. I'd like to see the Knicks actually put up a fight in games 1 and 2 against the Celtics. But again, that is another topic for another day. Something I'll be covering Monday, maybe Sunday as well. For now, let's enjoy it. Let's enjoy Mikal Bridges having his best game as a Knick in the biggest moment. He tipped that ball back in. I think that tip in, obviously the Brunson three-pointer is the biggest play, might be one of the biggest plays in NBA history. But I think that Mikal Bridges tip in should not be overlooked. Like, that's massive. Massive. He hit a big 3 in the fourth quarter. I mean, listen, if he was able to knock down threes from anywhere other than the corners and any other method besides like, I mean, like, these are tough fadeaway threes. And they're the only threes he can hit. He can't hit a catch and shoot 3 to save his life. I imagine how good this Knicks team could be if he was able to hit a 3 from the wings or the top of the key. If he could have any semblance of being a competent spot-up shooter, this Knicks team would be a lot better than it's been. I don't think the Knicks give up 5 first-round picks for Mikal Bridges if they knew that he'd be this bad from 3. And it's hilarious if you watch the MSG broadcast, and I don't think I've ever seen this, but they were showing Mikal Bridges' stats, 20 points, 9 for 13 from the field, and then they showed his 2-point field goals. They showed that he was 9 of 11 from 2-pointers. Like, no one wants to see that. Like, we get it. He can't hit 3. He can't hit threes. But he played an extremely solid game last night. And I think it's safe to say he was as much of a factor in the Knicks' victory as Jalen Brunson was. If Bridges doesn't have a good game offensively, there's no one else in that Knicks starting lineup who did anything. Knicks would have lost that game. And yeah, of course you don't win the game without Jalen Brunson dropping 40. But the only reason they were able to win that game and they didn't lose by 20, Jalen Brunson could have put up 40 anyway, is the fact that the Knicks were actually able to get some production outside of him. Because they didn't get it from Cat. They didn't really get it from OG, besides a few quick threes in that first half. They sure as hell did not get it from Deuce McBride, who's got to pick his head out of his ass. He's unplayable. He's terrible. He's not even a good defensive player anymore. What the hell happened to him? He fell off the face of the earth. If they want any chance to beat Boston, he's going to have to show up. He might be the most important player in the Boston series. I don't think that's hyperbole to say. Because if he does not show up in that series, the Knicks will have 0 bench. Because JB Bickerstaff set the tone. And he may have started a trend here when it comes to fouling Mitch. Fouling Mitch might be a philosophy that the Celtics employ in this series. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, you'd like to see Landry Shamet get some run, play a single minute last night. As much as we hated Precious Achua throughout the course of the season, he had a good stretch of about a month in the middle of the season. He started off terrible. He was unplayable himself. Maybe you'd like to see some Precious Achua minutes. I know my friend Alex B at Knicks Central does. Maybe that's where I say Precious Achua doesn't play or shouldn't play. But maybe, he deserves some minutes. Whether it be 4 minutes or 1 minute, I don't care. The Knicks sometimes need some fresh legs, especially against a Boston team like this one is. We saw what they were capable of last season, even with Porzingis out the majority of the playoffs. They are built, in my opinion, better than any team in recent memory. Every single one of their starters complements each other so freaking well. Al Horford is a Swiss Army knife. I'd kill to have Al Horford on the Knicks. I'd do anything. Peyton Pritchard, one of the best sixth men in the NBA. Luke Cornett, Knicks legend. Pretty serviceable backup big. Sam Hauser hits every three he takes, it feels like. For who the Celtics are, they're built so freaking well. So well. Because not only do they have the defensive prowess of a guy like Drew Holiday, Jason Tatum is an amazing defender as well. Jaylen Brown, great defender. Derek White might be the most underrated player in the NBA. They still have a bunch of volume three-point shooters. You may hate their style of play, but you've got to admit that it works. It works. Yeah, they fire 35, 43s a game, but they still shoot 36, 37% from three. You look at the stats, they're still a top 10 shooting team from three. Any team that shoots that well from downtown, with the amount of volume that they shoot from three, should continue to shoot. And I know I said I wasn't going to focus on Boston, but it's almost impossible. It is. I enjoyed the Knicks win last night. I've watched the replay of Jalen Brunson 3 150 times. That doesn't mean I'm not sitting here shaking in my boots at the prospect of playing the Boston Celtics, team the Knicks lost 4 straight times to in the regular season. A team who obliterated the Celtics, who obliterated the Knicks in 3 of those games. And that last game, they only came close because Jaylen Brown was a shell of himself and was hurt. So let's enjoy it. The Knicks won. Jalen Brunson came up in the clutch yet again. I'm going to shoot myself if the Knicks open up game 1 against the Celtics and Karl-Anthony Towns is not being, there's no offense being created for Karl-Anthony Towns. And he's forced to create his own shot instead of, maybe someone setting an off-ball screen for him. I didn't see that once. You've got one of the most dynamic offensive players in the NBA. You're running no design action for him. Make it make sense. No pick and rolls. Cat doesn't set screens. He runs up and just meanders near whoever the ball handler is. He stands there, goes from side to side. He doesn't set a screen. The Knicks were unable to generate any switches in that game last night. They were not able to pull Asar Thompson off of Jalen Brunson. You got to give credit to him for being able to get over or under screens as well as he does. But the Knicks were not making it hard for him. They weren't. So you like to see the pick and pop utilized, the pick and roll utilized a little bit more in the Boston series. But the Knicks did not win that game based off coaching last night. Tom Thibodeau wasted that challenge when that should not have been challenged. If they were going to review it for a flagrant act, what makes you think that you'd even come close to winning that challenge? It was a rare blunder for Tom Thibodeau and his assistant coaches who have been amazing at challenging calls the entire season long. I believe they had the highest success rate with challenges. It was a stupid move. And hopefully they learn their lesson from that and they go back to, to being the best team in the league at challenging calls. But the Knicks did not win that game last night from any good coaching from Tom Thibodeau. They won it because Jalen Brunson stepped up in the biggest moment like he always does. We've seen it time and time and time again. Playoffs 2 years ago against the Cavs. Playoffs last year against the Sixers. Playoffs last year against the Pacers. It's what this guy does. It's his MO. And this is who you want on your team. It's just the Knicks' ceiling is so limited. If the rest of their team played well, and then Jalen Brunson was able to take over in big moments, they'd be a favorite to win the championship. Because that's all you ask for. That's all the team needs. One guy who could step up and another guy who complements him well enough to the point where if he gets doubled, they could step up and hit a shot like Karl-Anthony Towns did in Game 4 of this past series. Jalen Brunson didn't win that game. It was Karl-Anthony Towns. And the Knicks are in a completely different spot if they lose that game. But the reason why the Knicks won that game, because Karl-Anthony Towns did step up, but Jalen Brunson's getting doubled. And it's leaving other guys open. So credit to Brunson. Credit to Mikal Bridges. Credit to OG for constantly playing amazing defense. Credit to Josh Hart for being one of the most valuable role players in the league. I think there's a serious argument to be made that he's the most valuable role player in the league as compared to, to a guy like Derek White. I think Josh Hart's better. The Knicks need some production from the bench, man. I mean, Mitchell Robinson sucked last night. He's got to figure out this free throw problem. He shot 70% since he came back from injury leading up to the start of the playoffs from free throw line. It seemed like he actually was able to calm down, get some arc on his free throws, get up on his tippy toes. That's all gone. There's no rhythm there. He rushes it. It seems like he's finally taking deep breaths and trying to calm himself down. I don't think that's doing much. He should work on the 5-7-8 breathing or the square breathing techniques. I know some of those I could teach him if he needs. But Mitch sucked last night. Deuce was unplayable. I mean, fell off the face of the earth. Shamet wasn't even utilized. This Knicks team might have the worst depth in Knicks history. I don't think that's crazy to say. I really don't. For any good Knicks team, it's the worst depth in NBA history. It's terrible. I mean, you have 5 playable guys, realistically. 5.5. So Mitch could come in and be a very serviceable backup. It's the fact that they put him in when they're in the bonus and they're able to just foul him and he's not going to make the free throws. Can't make them pay. So, listen, you got to give credit to Brunson. I still hate this team. Obviously, I want them to win against Boston. Do I give them any chance? Absolutely not. I mean, it says a lot. The Celtics are minus 800. I can't even remember a time in which a 2 versus 3 seed matchup is that drastic in terms of odds. The books know what we've all known this entire year. This Knicks team outside of Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart does not have the resolve on a game-to-game basis, and it does not possess the physicality to beat better teams. They sucked against the best teams in the league. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that magically that's going to turn around. I don't think so. I don't think it is. I think me spending as much money as I'm spending to go to Game 3 might be the biggest waste of money in my entire life. But it's going to be good to be in the Garden. The first time in again, as I said, 11 years. But we'll see. I'm not giving the Knicks any chance to win this series. I'll be pleasantly surprised if they take it 6 or 7. Honestly, that might be the worst thing to happen to the Knicks because then Tom Thibodeau is probably going to be retained as head coach and they'll never win anything. So I don't think it's crazy not to root for the Knicks to win or to lose in 5 or get swept. But if it happens, it's like, okay, bittersweet. They lost. Tom Thibodeau's gone. They still have this core together for the next 3 or 4 years. With another coach, they might be better. Look at the Cavs. They bring in Kenny Atkinson. They start utilizing Mobley a little bit more, and look what happened. One of the best regular seasons in NBA history from the Cavs. Maybe someone else comes in, an offensive-minded head coach. Everyone knows my wet dream is Jay Wright. Like I know I've talked to people who actually know basketball and who know stuff behind the scenes. They think I'm crazy. I just pure vibe standpoint, like Jay Wright on the sideline. The Knicks are going to win a championship. The Knicks will win a title. You know, the rapport with the Villanova guys, get Dante back maybe. I know that's a fever dream. But Jay Wright on the sidelines, that's my number one pick. I don't even think it's close. And hopefully he'd be willing to come back and coach a basketball team. I think the Knicks could offer him $10 million, even more a year. That's my number one option. Maybe a Budenholzer, or maybe a Mike Malone's probably a close second. I know I'm jumping the gun here. The Knicks may put up a fight against the Celtics. We may have some false hope, and then Tom Thibodeau's going to be brought back. I'm not doing this. I can't do this. I'm trying to enjoy this. I'm trying to bask it again, as I keep saying, bask in the glory of this Knicks series win and of Jalen Brunson, and that's it. And we'll focus on the Celtics stuff. I know I just did 15 minutes on it, but it's hard to avoid. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. I'm Bryce Gelman. Very pleasantly surprised with how I was able to keep it together here. I need a coffee. I need to wake the hell up. But let's go Knicks. More stuff coming, obviously, next week. I believe this is the most live streams I did in a week. So plenty more coming your way. So stay tuned for that and enjoy this time while we have it. Keep watching the double bang from Mike Breen. I certainly will. Peace.